Hello and welcome to a fairly impromptu video. It's the Oscars tonight, and I've watched barely anything. I think just looking at the nominated films, I'm usually so on top of this, but this year and it's been a different year obviously with 2020 and everything, but there's just so much I haven't seen that I feel like I should have. So it's kind of a shame. I'm trying to catch up on some stuff. I watched Promising Young Woman recently. There'll be a review of that coming soon. And I'll try and catch up with some other things. And today I watched the last film that's nominated for Best Animated Feature. So I'm just going to do a ranking video of what I thought and where I'd rank the 5 films up for Best Animated Feature Film at the 2021 Oscars. So we have Onward, we have Over the Moon, a Shaun the Sheep movie, Farmageddon, Soul, and Wolfwalkers. And a plethora of directors listed for all of them. So I'll just go through where I would rank these films. So at number 5, I would put a Shaun the Sheep movie, Farmageddon. Loved the original Shaun the Sheep movie, and I talk about that in an upcoming Blu-ray video, but yeah, that initial Shaun the Sheep film was magic. The sequel, saw it in the cinema with Connie. It was fun. It was a nice love letter to kind of science fiction films and stuff like that, and a lot of funny gags, but overall, I felt like the story wasn't as strong. Stop motion animation is always fantastic to watch, especially with what Aardman do, but yeah, it's just a little lacking at times. A good 4 out of 5 movie, I think. Just really, really solid. Some really good, strong moments, but overall just didn't quite reach the heights of the first one for me. And overall, with these 5 movies, it would be the weakest, I guess, of the bunch. Number 4, I would put Over the Moon. I just watched this today. Incredible first act. Loved the last 10 minutes. The middle was a little wonky. The middle is just a little bit like almost too abstract for me. It was very weird, and when you get to that kind of almost like pop concert in the middle, it's like, what is going on? It feels so kind of in conflict with everything else. But I like that they kind of went for the fences with it, And Glenn Keane, this legendary animator who worked on Disney classics and stuff. This is his first directorial film. And it shows in certain segments. There's some really great animation and stuff, and some beautiful visuals. But I really love the story. It's very sad, and it's like you can tell that he came from Disney. But I like the story overall and where it went. And by the end, I did get choked up a little bit. But the middle section was just a little bit surprising. Perhaps if I watch it again, knowing where it's going, I might enjoy it even more. But it's a really endearing film. I really, really enjoyed it a lot. Actually, I don't know what I'd rate it actually, but. Yeah, it probably would be a 4 out of 5, but very close to a 4.5. Again, watching it again perhaps, but I just loved the heart of it. Felt really nice, So I really liked it. Some really great visuals too. But yeah, number 3, I would say Soul. Now, I love Pete Docter, one of my favorite directors. Inside Out, I think, is one of the best films I've ever seen. I'm almost afraid to watch that film again in case it doesn't hold up as much as it did in the cinema. But Soul, I was really looking forward to. Watched it Christmas morning, and I think maybe that kind of impacted my viewing because I don't really get up in the morning. But for Christmas, it was a bit of a weird one this year, obviously, or last year. And watching it early, I was a little bit sleepy. We had a whole day ahead of us in terms of getting up and trying to make something out of the day. The only thing we did for Christmas was go and see my mum. We didn't see anyone else in the family, and that was kind of difficult. But we tried to make it a day for ourselves, And the first thing we did was watch Soul. And I thought it was a great film, really, really strong. I loved all the abstract stuff with kind of, before life begins and everything, and where the souls go, and fascinating stuff, really cool visual things, lots of nice jokes. Felt like Inside Out in that sense, where you're kind of playing with the kind of spirituality of life in some senses, but also kind of just fun little gags that tie in with, theories on kind of where we go, after when we're dead and what happens before and all that kind of stuff. It was just fun kind of, theoretical stuff, hypothetical things. Again, maybe the middle section a little bit. I mean, overall it's very strong, I think, but some of the stuff in the middle was almost a little bit too out there, and I kind of lost a little bit of the luster, throughout. But it ends really strong, has a really great message, and the music is great, and the animation being Pixar is absolutely top notch. So I really did enjoy it a lot. I'd need to see it again, I think, and that's probably the case for, I would say, all of these pretty much. But I wouldn't see Shaun the Sheep going up too much more in my estimation. But the other 4, they could change over time. But right now, in terms of my favorites, I put Soul at number 3. At number 2, and this is really tricky, I'd go with Wolfwalkers from Cartoon Saloon. And if there's one word I can use to describe Wolfwalkers and one word to describe Cartoon Saloon in general, it would be refreshing. Just something different from the Irish accents and the stories that they're telling, and kind of going into Irish folklore and stuff like that, but just the way that they present things visually, like the town that's just this flat kind of landscape, and then you go inside and it's 3D, and it's just very weird and kind of off the wall stuff. And I was listening to them on the directors on a podcast called the Ghibliotheque podcast, which is a great podcast about the films of Studio Ghibli, and they're talking about influences from Studio Ghibli that the directors might have had, and they do cop to the fact that they're really inspired by The Tale of the Princess Kaguya, which is one of the best films I've ever seen as well, and actually the film that I can't believe it didn't win the Oscar. But then again, seeing the voters' reasoning for certain picks in the Oscar voting for Best Animated Feature, I guess I'm not surprised that the best films don't win. But the Tale of the Princess Kaguya is an absolute masterpiece, and they were inspired by that in terms of showing the audience kind of where they're drawing at times, and you do see like the outlines of where they're drawing the characters and things. There's really weird kind of vibe to it that's kind of unlike anything else I've seen. So visually, it's just so refreshing and different. Again, just hearing all those beautiful Irish accents and just seeing a nice mystical story, great music, really stuck with you. And there's a funny story with this, because I wanted to watch it with Connie. She hadn't seen any of the Cartoon Saloon films, and I showed her the trailer, and she's like, "No, just." I won't watch that. She said it looks unfinished, and she's like, it's such a shame. It looks like it had so much potential. And I got really genuinely mad at Connie, and I was like, I'm so disappointed in you that you wouldn't even give it a shot, And so I kind of wore her down for a couple of months, and then we finally watched it, and she loved it, and it really grew on her. The more she thought about it, the more she liked it. So, again, don't judge a book by its cover sometimes, but. Wolfwalkers was fantastic. A really good story about this young girl who meets another young girl in the woods, and she's a wolf walker, and lots of stuff happens from there, and it's just very, I don't know. And the more I think about it, the less I think about the weird style of the animation and everything, and the story seeps into me, and I just appreciate it even more. I think, I don't know, it's just I like it. I liked it. There's some choices towards the end that I really appreciated, and I think that in some ways, if I was to rate this in terms of like what are the best films, I might put Wolfwalkers at the top, purely by the fact that I think that it deserves more points for being more original, for being more different, for doing things differently, for doing the 2D style of animation amidst the world of 3D animation, although you of course have Shaun the Sheep in stop motion. So it's nice to see that those methods are still around and being championed by other studios. So that leaves my number one to be Onward, which I think is, if I really look at it, I would say that Soul and Wolfwalkers are better movies than Onward. But for me, Onward just wrecked me emotionally at the end. And that was kind of what I was expecting from Soul, and people were saying that. Maybe that's why I was disappointed it didn't resonate with me emotionally as much as Onward did. And Onward does have the distinction of being the last film I ever saw in a cinema, but to date. But that doesn't really tie into it that much. I loved Onward, and watching the trailers, I was like, elves and goblins and whatever, and I'll watch it. It's a Pixar movie, but I wasn't really that excited about it. But I loved it. I loved everything about it. The story of these two young brothers, and the one who was really young when their father died, and he didn't know him that much and everything, and he's trying to remember him, and they come up with this spell where they can get him back for one day, but it doesn't work fully, and it's just his legs. It lends itself well to such great comedy, but there's a great adventure. There's like a good action adventure vibe to it. I loved all the characters they meet. It's a road movie. I love road movies. All this mystical stuff, fun jokes, and then the ending it absolutely floored me. I thought it was such a powerful film towards the end, even though it was very wacky and fantasy and everything. I just loved it. I absolutely loved Onward. Now, again, if I was saying best films, I would say probably Soul, maybe at number one. I do think it's a great film. I would say Wolfwalkers is the best one, I think. I do think it is the best film. But Soul is a very close number two. I would then say Onward would be number three, Over the Moon number four, and then at five, probably Shaun the Sheep, Farmageddon. Now, what do I think will win, and what would I like to see win? I think Soul will win. I think there's absolutely no doubt about that. I think it just had more positive reviews than Onward did. A lot of people didn't really like Onward, actually, which is interesting, but I can see it. You know, I don't think Onward is one of the strongest Pixar movies. It just resonated with me for some reason. But Soul, it has that more classical feel to it, and, you know, to be honest, when it's the Academy, if it's Disney or Pixar, it's likely going to win just by default. And you see some of the ballots where they're just like, you know, animated films are for kids. I don't watch them. I pick Frozen. You know, I leave my kids in the theater for animated films and go and sit outside. So I'm not going to vote for this. Or, you know, I didn't see any of them this year. So Big Hero 6. You know, it's just shocking that they don't take it as seriously as they should. I think it's just as valid a medium within the art form. But anyway, so yeah, so I would say Soul will win. Very outside chance. No, there's no outside chance. Shaun the Sheep will never win it. Over the Moon will never win it. Wolf Walker's not a chance in the world. Onward, maybe. I think it's between Onward and Soul. So Pixar are going to be very happy by the end of the night, no matter what. What would I like to see win? Wolf Walkers, by far. I think that deserves it. I think Cartoon Saloon deserves it. But it won't win because it's not usually about the best animated film, I suppose. If Onward, would I prefer Onward or Soul to win? I think Soul deserves it more. I think probably I just enjoy Onward a little bit more. So yeah, I would say that Soul probably deserves it out of the two Pixar films. Over the Moon, if it had a stronger middle act, I'd almost be like inching towards that. But I loved Wolf Walkers. That was really, really great. So there we go. I just thought I'd do a little ranking video, give you my thoughts on the 5 films now that I've seen all of them. I'd love to kind of do all the Oscar films, but just haven't had the time at all, really, which is a shame. But looking at the list, I don't know, there's some that I would really like to see. The Father, I'd like to see just because I like Anthony Hopkins, otherwise I'm not too sure if I would have watched it otherwise. Mank, I guess I should see it. Minari, I really want to watch. Nomadland, I'm quite intrigued by. Sound of Metal, I'm definitely going to watch, actually. And The Trial of the Chicago 7 just doesn't appeal to me whatsoever. And then we have Judas and the Black Messiah, which I know absolutely nothing about. So I think I will eventually try and get around to all of them. But it's just one of those things where, I don't know, the new releases seem to pass me by. And you'd think with the pandemic era, I'd have more time to watch these stuff. And the way that these films are now more readily available at home, I'd have more time for them too, but apparently not. Anyway, leave me your thoughts down below on the animated films or any of the Oscar talk. I won't be doing an Oscar video like I did last year because I'm not staying up late at the moment and stuff. And I'm not as invested, I suppose. I'm intrigued to see what they're going to do as far as the ceremony is concerned. I know they've done the Golden Globes and everything, but I'm not really keeping up with the awards circuit this year. So I'm intrigued to see what they do. I would love it if they did live performances and if they got Rachel McAdams and Will Ferrell to do Husavik from Fire Saga. They probably won't, but that would have been really fun. I'd love that song. That would be so funny if that Eurovision film won an Oscar. I'm intrigued actually to see on the Best Original Song. Is it called Best Original Song? Yeah, Best Original Song. So we have one from Judas and the Black Messiah, The Trial of Chicago 7, Husavik, Life Ahead. Oh, there wasn't. Okay, so there was a couple of songs in Over the Moon that I thought might have been eligible, and they probably put it forward and stuff. But yeah, anyway, I'll leave it there. Thank you for watching. And I'll see you. So I'm getting distracted by the phone. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
It's alright by me. Apart from the fact he throws cans of Carlin into a tree. Yeah, he's really cool. Yeah, he's really cool. But he's not quite as cool as you, 'cause